Ok, olá a todos os amigos do Espaço da Mente no Brasil, mais uma Conexão Califórnia. Eu estou aqui ao meu lado com a doutora Amy Serene, que é autora deste livro. Ela é doutora em neurociência e ela vai nos falar um pouco sobre um equipamento que ela desenvolveu e que eu achei super interessante e vou trazendo para vocês. Ok, Dr. Serene,
Okay.
I'd like you to explain us how the equipment works.
Sure.
And how do you think it could help your the clients and also the practitioners themselves? Because I think they would profit a lot from the equipment too.
Oh, right. Yeah. In my research in the past few years, this is published research, we found that just using bilateral stimulation in tactile form, so these buzz back and forth, alternating bilateral stimulation, reduces the stress response 62% in 30 seconds. And that's published research based on 1,109 people. So these are safe to use outside of the office. Some ways you can use them is if you wake up and you feel stressful, you can put them on for about 5 minutes. And then if you have any stress during the day, you can put them on. If you're in a state of prolonged stress, like let's say you're taking a test or you're giving a presentation, you want them on the entire time. And these ones have, there are clips. They also can affix to wristbands, but I like to wear them in my tank top or in my pockets or socks, and then no one can hear them.
Do they make any noise?
They do. They do have a slight vibration sound, so you can kind of hear this, and I can put it up to the microphone here. So they do slightly buzz. So if there's any noise in around, no one can hear them, but if it's a very quiet room, people can hear them. So there's 3 settings in here. And what I did was I pressed this one twice, and then if I press this once, it actually synchronizes. And then this is the slow setting. So this one vibrates like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. And this is what we use for calm and safe place. Now there is research in Japan that shows that when you're doing calm and safe place, you want to use tactile stimulation because it increases oxygenated hemoglobin levels, and that's a biomarker of stress. So we know that it reduces stress more if you're using these. And what I like to do for calm and safe place is to have them do the eye movements. So if you were doing this, you'd be moving your eyes back and forth when they buzz. So this one, then this one. So I just can tap on these and I say, move back and forth, and then I continue. Now, in phase 4 active processing, we use the yellow, which is the middle setting, okay? And that's a little faster. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2. Each setting has a different color, right? And so then, like if you're looking at the lights here, okay, you're looking back and forth like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then you can leave them on. And here's the thing, is you think you have to stop all the stimulation. You don't. You can leave them on and say, take a deep breath. Look at me. And now what do you get? And then they will tell you, and then you say, notice that, and then they go back. So you can leave tactile stimulation on during phase 4. And then there's one more setting, it's the purple setting, and this is the fastest. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. If people are very agitated and angry, you can use purple to help them calm down. Now, the other important thing that we found is that you can expand the use of bilateral tactile stimulation into every phase of EMDR. So if we know that this reduces stress, when someone comes in phase 1, why do we let them tell us all about all these things that they're upsetting about while we're figuring out their targets without any stress relief? So what I do is I put them on yellow and I say, okay, welcome. I'm gonna put these in your hands. And then why don't you tell me how I can help you? If you don't like these, if they get distracting, go ahead and hand them back. But this is just going to tone down your stress response, and you'll leave today with more of a feeling of calm about these things than you would have had you not had these. And then you go right into phase 1.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And one thing that I heard you say, no more PTSD.
Oh,
I heard
yeah.
you just said that, and I found it so interesting.
Yeah, so it was just talking
Could you explain
to
it to us?
Yeah, in my book, and I'll show you. So the book is called The Stress Switch, and it is on Amazon. I think it should be in Brazil too, but it's not translated. It's only in English right now. But I have a chapter on PTSD, and I was just talking to a gentleman who works with first responders and responding to Israel for global crises, and we are not looking at PTSD correctly. If a water pipe burst in your house and water's going everywhere, you don't just sit there and go, well, I guess we have to cope with this. I guess we're gonna, I guess we just have to cope. Let's do some seminars on how to cope with this water pipe bursting. No, you fix it, but we don't fix PTSD and we don't prevent it. So when people go through incidences, we have to put them in their hands for a prolonged period, and then that will desensitize their nervous system response as soon as possible. Right.
Okay.
And that's the premise in here. So this is a stress switch. The stress switch goes on, and we think consciousness can turn it down. So we're always trying to control our thoughts and do these. But as EMDR therapists, that doesn't work. We have to intervene and get the stress switch lower other ways. And this is the fastest way I figured out how to do this. And we have electroencephalogram data that shows huge changes in the amygdala and also in fast wave brainwave activity called beta waves associated with stress and in key areas associated with the stress response. So we not only have the biomarkers of stress, one study actually at Unanove, they did a triple blind study on these.
You were telling us about the research in Brazil.
Yep.
So it was carried out in Brazil. Could you explain what the research and what the results were?
Yeah, so a brilliant group out of Unanove did a triple blind, placebo-controlled. Unanove. Am I saying it right? In Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they did 80 Brazilian men, and they put them through the Trier social stress test. So this is where they have to give a presentation and do mental math in front of people. So it's an ethical way to increase people's stress. Okay. And they did cortisol swabs, and so they tested their cortisol at baseline, right after they did the stressful task, and then 20 minutes later. And the ones that had the active condition, their cortisol restabilized much faster, and they were calmer leaving the study that day than they were when they showed up. So this is the first triple-blinded research on the touch points, and then the other research shows the 62% stress reduction, and that was also replicated in that study. So
I thank you so much for your
you.
explanation. So kind of you to talk to us.
Thank you so much.
To everyone in Brazil.
All right, how do I say bye in Portuguese?
Até logo.
Galago?
Até logo.
Até logo. Até logo. Okay.
Então, um abraço para todos vocês. Até a próxima Conexão Califórnia.